Okay, folks, thanks for joining us again on a Family Through Service, a V2VG podcast, video podcast.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. So we've done a couple of thank you videos or appreciation videos.
Yeah, some gratitudinal, right?
Yeah.
And including a little bit of a patting on our own back with some of our successes.
Yep.
So what did you have in mind for today?
Well, we were discussing the different ones we've done. We've done, thank you to the businesses that supported V2VG. We've done thank you to board members. Mm-hmm. We even, our latest one, I believe, was thank you to our spouses, caregivers. And then we were talking about what about thank you to our primary volunteers, the ones that have time and again, stepped up and
the dependable ones, right?
Yeah,
like every
time. Yeah, every time we needed them to come out, they've come out and they've helped us, and
just like
they've
our
really
board
stepped
members,
forward.
Each one of our volunteers has, a specialty, so to speak. There's something that they really excel at. That helps
it
bring
kind of came out
the whole
that way.
thing, Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
So
keep looking at the snow. We're in the middle of a minor snowstorm here in New England.
That's what we're categorizing it for right now.
It's
right?
the first of the first.
Yes.
Of the winter of 2021, 22.
22. Yeah.
But anyway, we digress.
So where should we start?
Well, Veterans2Veterans Group, as a volunteer organization, we have board members who come to a lot of events that we do. But
so that's almost like, and we talked about it, where being a board member, it is similar to having the commitment of a job, almost like a reservist, right? Like the 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year type of thing.
Yeah.
But with the volunteers, it truly is a volunteer basis, and we post our events, and whoever can make it, they let us know.
And we can't really function in doing a lot of our events, at least not very efficiently, without the help of our volunteers. Not necessarily our board members, who are vital to the advocacy of our events, but the volunteers come in to basically be the muscle.
And the nitty gritty, like the things that you and I typically don't have the patience for, or the physical ability to do. The bending over, separating clothes, and all those type of things. That would last about 38 seconds,
right?
Before
39
we would be,
or 40 if we're lucky. But a lot of this has to do with the huge yard sales. As a matter of fact, yesterday we were specifically told we have, and I quote, the best yard sales in town, and certainly the biggest yard sales in town, which was nice to hear.
They did specify after, they said, and the biggest, which is nice, because Littleton has this thing where they get a bunch of different people together and they do like one massive yard sale.
A town-wide yard sale. They actually have a map that they cobble together.
And each one of ours is still bigger than that one that they do per summer. Yeah,
which
is pretty cool.
We do 4 or 5, sometimes 6 per summer, which I think is our limit for the town.
Yeah, typically, yeah.
But the volunteers, they enable us to do a lot of these events well and efficiently, and I think it's time we say thank you to them. So we have a few. And it's hard to say thank you to all the volunteers, because we have a lot of people who show up at some events, but we have a few volunteers that show up pretty much at almost every event. And those are the ones we want to really pay close attention to. The volunteers that really have done exceptionally good job for us, or who have really stepped up and helped out Veterans2Veterans Group in many ways.
And especially this year, because you and Jen had some family stuff to deal with one of our yard sales, and so they kind of left me here and Amy, one of our board members, here solo, where I dealt with more of the talking to people and the money, and she kind of had to run all what Jen normally does. But our volunteers stepped up in such a huge way.
Yeah.
So they were there at like 7 o'clock.
to set up and go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, 7 o'clock, that's how, and our yard sales don't officially start till 09, 1000 hours.
Supposed to, yeah.
So technically they don't, but we don't tell people no either. So.
Yeah.
So who's one of the volunteers you want to stand up and say, take a bow?
I'd have to say Bruce. Bruce is he's not one of our tidy up, but he's the biggest aspect as far as being muscle when we have to do clear outs and stuff, because you're very limited and I'm not as limited but still limited, so having him come in, it makes a world of difference in moving things. Plus he believes in the mission. He's he is involved in a lot of aspects, even though he doesn't sort through the clothes and all that, but where he is available, he is recognized and he makes a difference.
Bruce does make a difference, and he steps up every time in multiple ways.
I mean, it may be because his wife is Rebecca, our R2, who is on the board. Maybe she beats him into submission.
But to be fair, they were volunteers before R2 became a board member.
That's very, very true.
So we know that they believed in the mission before she became coerced into becoming a board member, before we strong-armed her into joining the board. So thank you, R2, and for doing that, and for Bruce for being drug along to stay being a volunteer.
Yes, thank you, R2, for allowing us to physically abuse Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce is he's a great volunteer. Always in a good mood when he's helping us out, and if he gets frustrated, he doesn't let it show.
That's true. That's true. And I think when he does get frustrated, it's on our behalf, not in spite of us. So
and he's also very much, like you said, and his opinion is very much in line with our mission, particularly when it comes to the treatment of the colors.
Well, I mean, he's also a veteran, so that kind of. But yes, we had maybe we should do another episode where we talk about the respecting of the colors. But that was a fun episode to do with him and his daughters.
Yeah, Sydney came out, and all of his kids, him and R2, their kids, the whole family is just wonderful.
Yes, very involved.
Let's see. So we're not going in any particular order. Let's see. So Elizabeth, she doesn't want to be called Elizabeth, so I the way I am, I'm referring to her as Elizabeth. But she told me, call me Liz. But there's another volunteer who we call Liz. So
it gets tough because I think there at one point was 3, and we've only known her as Elizabeth, where we were introduced to the other ones as Liz. So,
and I'm not going to call her L2 because we already have an R2. That'd be weird. So Elizabeth, for the sake of this video, I'm going to call you Elizabeth. So forgive me. No, but seriously, Elizabeth, she's another one. She steps up. She gets right to work. She's not afraid to get her hands dirty. She gets physical. She moves stuff. And one of the things she does that's so generous of her is she has chickens. She's got a bunch of chickens, and she donates the eggs to us when we do our community food baskets. Especially for our Christmas and Thanksgiving program, for free.
She gave us I think between Thanksgiving and Christmas, something like 45 cartons of 12 of a dozen, which I'm not going to do the math, but it's a lot.
It's a lot of money. So, and these are farm fresh eggs, and like Chuck said, we Jen and I ended up getting. So she has the cartons, and she donated the eggs, but we actually found some. Fresh and clean cartons. I think it was from the co-op, but we got permission to take a couple that we donated to Elizabeth to use for her eggs, and then some of those came back to go out. Yeah. Because typically when she donates, she gets those cartons back to reuse if they're clean, obviously. But we got the new ones, and those donated out, and she didn't get them back. So she donated dozens and dozens of a dozen eggs for free, and it was just so generous of her to do that. And we didn't even ask her to do that. We were just talking about things to put in the boxes, like for the menu items. Yeah. And she just stepped up and she said, "Well, I'll take care of the eggs," because we were thinking, cost. How much is it going to cost for the hams, turkeys, milk, butter, rolls, eggs? And she was like, "Well, don't worry about the eggs." with inflation, we were really concerned this year for sure. Yeah. And she's like, "Well, hold on. Don't worry about the eggs. I'll take care of the eggs." Almost like, duh. I got it covered. But we weren't going to impose on her and say, "Hey, since you have chickens, you want to throw the eggs?" She was like, "No, I'll take care of it." So that was really, really cool. But in addition to that, like I was mentioning in the beginning, she, as far as sorting things for the yard sales, She comes the day before and she helps us, like set up.
And you know, she's a very proud. I would say old-fashioned feminist. Like, she's proud to be a woman.
A true feminist, a true woman.
She's proud to not need a man to do things.
Sure.
But one of the other cool things she does is she collaborates with a retiree who does some woodworking and designs birdhouses that we get to, auction off or whatnot. And,
she does.
And they're not like little, 6x6. I mean, there are so many different designs.
I mean, they do that too. But she does, her and the retiree do some really cool ones.
Yeah, so.
And they name like the gardener or the whatever, and they're really cool. And I don't know if we don't have one any in here because we've raffled them all off.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do cool work.
And she did our donation box that's attached to the tree.
Yep. So that's super cool that she was able to do that. So that's really, really handy. And our treasurer just came in. Okay. We'll take a break real quick. Okay. So we just met with the treasurer, my wife, and we were talking about volunteering to help
complicate our lives once again.
To complicate things.
But we were talking about Elizabeth and her ability to show up before events and help set up.
Yes.
And her organizational skills are pretty top notch. So,
they are. Yes, they are. I'm a little bit derailed from being brought in different directions, so I'll get back on track in a minute. I'm just all over the place. I think that counts.
Yes, but who else do we have? I mean,
let's see. We talked about
Bruce and
we talked about Elizabeth. What about Art?
Yeah, Art. He's kind of a multi-volunteer, right? Because he is our chair guy, so he takes a lot of busted up older antique style chairs and fixes them up.
He does.
He tries to do at least one or two per summer season for us to sell and stuff. But he's another one who shows up. He's a seasoned guy, also a veteran, I believe.
I think so.
And so he tries to be as physically involved as possible, but he does a pretty good job of just following orders of, the women folk. So
he's a good guy. One of the things he does that's really cool is he'll take things that might have more intrinsic value.
Yeah.
And he'll go through the effort of looking up and researching their value, and then trying to sell them, and then after he sells them, he'll give us the money.
Yeah.
And like for the chairs, like Chuck, you were saying, he'll reupholster or recane them or whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And
or
then
weave the thing back in. Normally it's sometimes it's a woven. Back and bottom.
These are like antique things. Really old things. And he will do that. So he'll sell those, take a cut for his work, and then give us a difference.
Yeah.
Which otherwise we would toss those chairs because we can't necessarily do, and we certainly can't bring them back to their original functionality the way he can. That's like his hobby / profession. That's what he does.
And he does the eBay thing for us. Like the eBay is no longer the easy way of trying to sell stuff. There's a lot more research involved, and he has no problem doing that.
He's like our ace in the hole when it comes to selling things that would take time to research and then sell. And I don't want to do that necessarily, and nobody really, especially on the board, has the time or inclination to do it.
That's true.
And Art has the time and especially the inclination to do it. My wife, our treasurer, on the other hand, she'll take things and then she'll put them on Facebook Marketplace, and then she'll sell them that way. But one of the things that we're known for, and especially she's known for on Marketplace, is selling things, for a song. I mean, we sell things like to move.
But it's the quality and the price. So you're not just buying a piece of garbage. Like you got it's not top-notch piece of furniture or whatever, but it's in really good condition. We would never, try and get rid of a mattress with a pea stain on it or anything.
Not. Right.
But it's normally in pretty good conditions where we could possibly get 2 or 3 times the amount that
I
Jen
think
sells
we
for.
easily could if we were willing to wait a month or two, but we want to keep our inventory rolling.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why with our new website, which is coming soon,
Yes.
we're going to have an inventory page where people can go to the website, see what we have, and say, I want this, I want this, I want this, instead of waiting for it to show up on Marketplace or where Art puts it on eBay or whatever. But Art's a good guy. He's got a good personality. He's fun to work with, and he's kind of like a like American Pickers. He likes to pick through our stuff and find the diamonds in the rough.
He's got a good eye for things of value that we don't typically pick up on.
I think so. He does, and he tends to find, like when we get a box of costume jewelry. Say, Eric, let me take a look at that, and he'll go through and he'll find like the sterling silver or the gold, and he'll say, okay, I'll sell this and then give you the money. So that's what he enjoys doing.
Yeah, it's like a hobby for him almost. Yeah,
and it's the treasure hunter in him. Matter of fact, I saw him pull up one time, and he had a metal detector in his car, and I used to do some metal detecting maybe 10 years ago, and so we spoke about metal detecting. So that's the treasure hunter in him.
Yeah, definitely.
To find the diamond in the rough, the hidden gem.
Yeah, definitely. He's just an all-around good guy.
Yeah.
He's pretty relatable on a lot of levels for us and stuff.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
And it is nice to have other guys. I mean, we have so many females between the actual board members and the volunteers. It's nice to have volunteers who are male and we can connect with and have some sort of laundry talking type.
That's right. We have another volunteer, Liz, not Elizabeth, but Liz,
a different one.
It's also Elizabeth, but we were introduced to her as Liz.
Yeah.
And we're not giving last names, obviously, for privacy reasons, but Liz, this volunteer Liz, was really awesome because we met her because she was a customer at our yard sale, one of our yard sales, and she came to a few of our yard sales, and she liked what she saw. She liked our prices, which are primarily donations only.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we're known for, besides the size and variety at our yard sales, is that unless otherwise specified, like with furniture.
Yeah, that's typically the only thing we label, and even that is or best offer. It's almost never written in stone.
Right.
That's one thing I like.
Donations only. I mean, sometimes we get what we would consider ripped off. Here's $5 for a whole box of things, and other times people give us fair market value, and other times fair market value, and other times people give us, they're quite generous with us.
Absolutely.
And it more than works out. And
absolutely.
If people are in need, then then they're in need, and they'll take what they need. So it's our business model, and it works for us.
A lot of people know that they can have a private conversation with you or I, and we'll let them know, hey, if you need this, and you're getting these other things, just give us this much or whatever we need to do.
We've also run into situations where they've given us $5 for a bunch of things, and we were like, oh well, that kind of sucks for us. And then they've come back the next time and dropped a $20 bill on a notebook or something because they're in a better position. But anyway, Liz, so she came to a couple of the yard sales, and she liked the mission, she liked the prices, and then she decided, hey, everybody's working who's working with us. So we have volunteer shirts now,
and aprons,
especially with aprons we got. She ended up bringing us muffins and donuts and stuff.
That's
from Crumb Bum, which is one of the bakeries on our main street.
An authentic bakery, it's good quality stuff.
And she's like, this is. She said, she laughed. She goes, this isn't for the customers. This is for you guys. It's for your staff to enjoy. And we were like, but you're not one of our volunteers. She's like, no, but I want to be. We're like, okay, so we put her name on the list, and that's how it all started. And we were like,
and
you don't have to bribe your way onto the volunteer corps.
She would drop the stuff off early too. I mean, sometimes as early as 6:30, she'd have the breakfast snacks for us. And
remember the one time she came with coffee? She's like, sorry, I didn't get muffins today, but I brought coffee. We're like, sorry, like you're not required to do.
Actually, I think somebody else ended up bringing some sort of a treat. Just by chance, it worked out.
It's just fun. It's funny how we have some volunteers who they take it upon themselves. They give themselves these missions, for our events to help us out, and they take ownership of that. So she was like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't bring this, but I brought this instead," and we were just laughing like you're not required at all. We just greatly appreciate your conscientiousness of that. Hey, this would be a nice thing to do, and we really appreciate it, and and stuff like that.
The basic reliability, right?
Yeah, and she's there every time.
So
and she buys stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She
which
always,
is like it's funny because
has
like
a bag of stuff she brings home.
You're helping out and you want to buy stuff and it's one of the unwritten rules we have is if you're volunteering for us to help us set up, like you get the first pick.
Yeah. You could just put it aside in a box or whatever. She's also one of the people who brought the attention to us that people were ripping us off and then trying to sell our products at their own yard sales.
And we do. We do know that now, and they do that. They'll buy some of our nicer things for next
pennies
to nothing.
On the dollar,
yeah,
right?
And then they'll go to their yard sale and charge quadruple for it, and actually charge for it and get it. Look, there's nothing we can do about that. Does it suck? Yeah, it's kind of shitty, but people are noticing.
Yeah, and it doesn't affect us in a negative way because everything we've received is through donation. That's why we do donations only for the prices. So it's not like they're really ripping us off, so to speak, but it's just a very bad character flaw to have, is to be that person.
I mean, if you're that person, then it's on you, and you're going to answer for that, and somebody might call you out on that, and there are people out there
around here. Yeah, absolutely.
It is a small town, and somebody's gonna be like, "Hey, that was at the V2VG yard sale. Now you're charging $15 for that," and they were charging donations only. So I know you didn't pay $15 for the one thing.
Yeah. So,
but and what about?
We have one more left. I think that we.
And there's a lot of volunteers, and we're not getting to everybody. We're just getting to a few of the ones that stand out to us. But there's one volunteer.
We saved the best for last.
We saved the best for last. Not to be outdone.
No spoiler alerts.
No spoiler alerts. But go ahead. This actually started from your wife.
Yes. So, well, actually, it started because this volunteer we know. Does a daycare, and so when she's doing dishes,
even further back,
she will watch some of our YouTube videos, and I think it was the Afghanistan one specifically, and she spoke to us off to the side one time at one of the yard sales, and she's like, you guys got like such a potty mouth. Like I had to shut it off. I couldn't have the kids
I
hearing
didn't know
this.
She listened to our podcast.
So the last couple that we've done, we've sworn and we've been like, sorry, Nancy. And so when we did the spouses and caregiver, I had my wife listen to, who's happened to be in a hospital, so she's got nothing but time anyway, and she watches the video and she's like, you guys should do like some sort of a swear jar and then do something with that. And so that intrigued both of us. It got our wheels turning, and so what I think we came to was 25 cents per swear.
Yep.
And so our goal is like around December 1st, I guess.
I think that's fair.
Total it up, and we would like to donate that to another organization where we're hoping subscribers will, give us some ideas of, and then our volunteer would pick from that list.
Yeah.
And so this amazing young woman is Nancy, and she is at every single one of our yard sales.
She is.
And she spends pretty much the entire day there, almost as much time as like Jen and my wife Sarah do, separating, organizing things, and like she just nonstop. And that's why when I'm like, oh, I remembered your name, Nancy. I'm terrible with names, and she gave me a lot of flack for that. One of the yard sales, so I've been looking in the mirror every day and saying her name is Nancy, and so now I have it nailed down. But you had a great idea for naming our swear jar.
Yeah, this is the Nancy can. This is the Nancy can. We've already preloaded it because we said some swears before we did this podcast. So
yes, and you did swear once during the podcast. So,
I did. So during the setup for the podcast, I said a swear. So the idea of, like Chuck said, first of all, as a volunteer, Nancy is second to none. She's there. She's right on it. She's got a great sense of humor. She's the mother of one of our board members, who also started out as a volunteer.
Yes. Yeah.
But Nancy, she's a great woman, and she's hardworking, and like Chuck, you said, she's there the entirety of the time. She's there longer than I am. I come out, and Nancy's there setting stuff up with you guys, and then I leave, I go back, and she's still there. It's like she's very dedicated to the cause, and I love that.
She has this motherly aura about her. Where, Jen has this soft heart and forgives everybody, but Nancy is just like a nice person who will listen to your woes and give you advice, but will also call you out if you're acting kind of stupid. So it's really nice. She's
absolutely a honest person.
Yeah, I
true blue all the way through. So the idea of the Nancy Can is to, on the one hand, not necessarily to limit the swearing per se, but to keep, especially me, okay, to keep me cognizant of my mouth, so that way Nancy can continue to listen to the podcasts whilst
wherever right?
she's around her children at the daycare. But because I'm not going to not swear, I can't help it.
Yeah, we are still veterans. We do our best to be professional, but
I'll do my best more. That this will be a reminder. So at the beginning of every podcast, we're going to pay our dues.
Yes, from the previous
podcast.
Yes,
that's Chuck's idea. He said, we'll listen to the podcast, the previous podcast, count the swears. The beginning of the next podcast, we'll pay our dues. We'll watch it fill up.
Yeah.
And then when the time comes, we will make a video of cashing it in and then donating and everything. So anyway, the idea is to not necessarily limit my swearing as much as making me aware that I have an audience that actually doesn't need to hear me F-bombing all the time and among other things.
And the thing is, too, is we have some topics that are fun, and we typically don't swear that much.
Like this one. This one we didn't swear much. I don't know if we did swear much.
I think you had two total. One when we were setting up, and one when we came back from when your wife came through. I think she really got to your brain hole. So
see, even then I can't help it.
But then we cover topics that are very emotionally charged, especially for us, like the fall of Afghanistan, which is the one that happened where Nancy came to us and was like, I understand it's it's an important thing for you guys, but like, really, do you guys have to swear that much? And
I was like, yes.
So
I don't know what I'm doing. It's not my fault.
And we never know what we're going to give you. We try and have some sort of a nothing's rehearsed, nothing's scripted, but we try and have a basic
well, I'm going to swear 7 times.
So we try and have a basic topic at the beginning.
Yeah.
Where it goes from there, we never know. But I think this is a great thing because we both do have some pretty potty mouths, especially when we get like revved and worked up into things and stuff. So, but again, it's also an opportunity for us who are not speaking on behalf of the organization. This is our thing to be able to donate to something other than Veterans2Veterans Group, which is a great thing because it shows our generosity as much as our mission for,
So the idea is, I think, that what we spoke about, Chuck, is that when the time comes to donate the contents of the Nancy Can, is to have people who listen to the podcast or who are aware of the podcast let us know, give us a list of charities who they think would benefit from however much is in here, and then we'll have Nancy pick one of those charities and we'll
all you have to do is name the organization or whatever. We can always research it. You can the Purple Heart Foundation, and we can validate if it's an organization. We don't need anybody to write any essays. Just give us a name.
Yeah.
It
is as simple as that.
We'll just have some fun with it, Yep. Maybe we'll have an episode where we will try and swear as much as possible just to have fun and just
like what was the movie where he swore and he got all those papers to wipe his ass with? That's another one. It was Sylvester Stallone, and he was like, Fuck, bitch. Two more.
Demolition Man.
Demolition
Yeah.
Man.
Yes.
And they're like, he doesn't know how to use the seashells.
Yeah, the three shots. Yeah.
And so he went up
What a
to the
great
little.
cast in that
he
one.
went up to the little. That was with
Sandra Bullock,
Sandra
Wesley
Bullock,
Snipes,
Wesley Snipes,
Rob
absolutely,
Schneider.
yeah.
Like,
So he went up to the
great
little
cast.
thing on the wall and he started swearing at it to say it would give him a ticket, and then he wiped his butt with that. So I just swore like 4 freaking times in one paragraph.
You know,
more for the Nancy can.
right? So
So that's what we're doing.
I'm pretty excited, and you know.
Oh, and the other thing is when we are doing it, if I know ahead of time it's going to be explicit, like heavily explicit, I'm going to mark it explicit in the description, and that's the other thing.
And the title, right?
We're going to do more. We're more cognizant of titling and descriptions in the.
Speaking of volunteers,
yeah.
Your son Patrick brought this to our attention. He thinks this could help us gain some popularity. So we're doing like a 30-day challenge, and we'll see if our numbers increase. Which like, share, and subscribe, and then comment which organization or nonprofit you feel would be a good recipient of the so many millions of dollars we're going to raise swearing.
You know, so this jar,
it's going to fit a lot.
It's going to fit a lot, and if it's typically a quarter per swear, it's going to be filled with quarters, basically. I'm trying to think. We have a change jar at the house, and when it gets to about a quarter of the way full, it's almost $70.
And remember, we did this size jar a little bit smaller with empty ammo shells, and we with different rounds, and we got like 400 and something.
Yeah. So I'm guessing.
Let alone quarters. We're talking about. You know,
what do you figure? I'm guessing a couple $100 at least.
Yeah, I would say probably between $300 and $400.
Yeah.
Is what I would guess.
So just keep it in mind. And like Chuck said, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to write an essay. Just give us a name, and then Nancy can pick. She can pick the charity, and then we will deposit it into V2VG's account, and then cut a check and send it to them with a letter explaining what it is and why it is.
The whole mission statement of it. Yeah. That'd be a great thing. I think, you know, this all came from like a learning lesson, and the type of guys that we are when we are corrected. Even when it is something that stings, we always take a couple days, we process it, and we try and find a way to implement that into our lives. And we've done so with between Nancy and my wife Sarah. We've been able to come up with this great concept.
This is what we put money in when we use sentence enhancers.
So put money where your mouth is what we're doing now, right?
That's the motto. The Nancy can putting money where our mouths are. That's what's going to be the motto.
Yeah.
We'll have a picture up here soon anyway. But yeah, so I think that's how we should close it.
Sounds great.
Putting money where our mouths are.
Alrighty.